Thanks for joining me today for another episode of White Woman in Distress. This podcast is about raising awareness for missing kids, teens, and adults. My goal is to help spread the word and find those who are missing. We need to come together as a community to find these people. We need to stop ignoring what we see and start looking out for each other. I understand that you want to stay safe, but it's important to speak up when you notice something's wrong. If someone you loved was missing, you would want people to help. People who think this can never happen to me need to understand it can happen to anyone. You don't have to put yourself at risk. You can always call tips in anonymously. Our goal should be to bring everyone home safely. Everyone deserves to know what happened, and families deserve closure. This content may discuss violence, sexual assault, and murder, which may be distressing to some. Listener discretion is advised.
Today's case takes us all the way back to the summer of 1959. A time of camping trips, soda bottles, and innocent childhood play. However, for one Alabama family, June 18th became the day their lives changed forever. This is the story of Danny Barter, a 4-year-old boy who vanished without a trace during a family camping trip near Perdido Bay. And more than 60 years later, his fate remains unknown. Daniel Barter was born on December 12, 1954, to Paul and Maxine Barter. He was the youngest of 7 children in a close-knit family living in Mobile, Alabama. Danny had that typical 1950s charm, playful, curious, and full of life. On June 17, 1959, the Barters packed up for a camping trip along Perdido Bay, just outside of Lillian, Alabama, near the Florida border. They were joined by an uncle and 2 cousins for what was meant to be a peaceful getaway near the water. They set up camp in a quiet wooded area. It was rustic, no tents, no trailers, just a mosquito net, some blankets, and fresh air. What more could you want? The next morning, June 18th, started off like any other summer day. While Danny's parents were preparing fishing gear, the little boy was seen walking around the campsite. He wore only a pair of gray boxer shorts and was carrying a bottle of Nihi soda, which was a popular soft drink at that time. That was the last confirmed sighting of Daniel Barter. Maxine said she looked away for just 10 or 15 minutes. When she turned back around, her son was gone. There were no sounds, no struggles, just gone. At first, the family searched the area themselves, calling his name, checking the bushes and shoreline, but soon the situation escalated. Within hours, the search grew massive. Volunteers, helicopters, boats, bloodhounds, and even divers combed the swampy terrain around the campsite. Alligators and snakes were a concern, and 2 alligators were captured and examined, but neither had any signs of Danny or his clothing. Despite covering a 2 to 3 square mile radius around Perdido Bay, not a single trace of that little boy was ever found. Not his shorts, not the soda bottle, nothing. No DNA anywhere other than, of course, at this campsite with his family. It's easy to assume that Danny wandered off and got lost in the wilderness, but the Barters remembered something else, something a little unsettling. In the weeks leading up to the camping trip, strange things started to happen near the family's home in Mobile. One neighbor had told Maxine that she saw a man looking through the boys' bedroom window. Another time, Maxine herself noticed a strange man that was parked outside of their home, just sitting in his car by himself. When she tried to approach this man, he sped off. At the time, they brushed it off, thinking it was just weird, but after Danny disappeared, it suddenly felt like something more. Could somebody have been watching the family, planning something? Could this have been an abduction, not a tragic accident? As the years passed, tips dwindled, the case went cold. The Barters never gave up hope, but the pain of not knowing became part of their daily lives. In 2008, nearly 50 years later, the FBI officially reopened the case. Investigators hoped new technology or witnesses might help shake loose some kind of new lead. Unfortunately, despite renewed interest, no significant breakthroughs ever emerged. As of today, Daniel Barter is still missing. If alive, he would be 69 years old. His case remains one of Alabama's oldest unsolved missing persons cases. The mystery continues to haunt Perdido Bay, and anyone who hears this story, to this day, his family holds on to hope that one day they'll get the answers that they've waited decades for. If you have any information, no matter how small, about the disappearance of Daniel Barter, please contact the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office at 25193, because even after all this time, it's never too late for the truth to come out. So thank you for joining me today for another episode of A White Woman in Distress. Stories like Danny's remind us that even in a crowd, even in daylight, someone can vanish. So thanks for joining me, and as always, stay safe, and remember, if you see something, say something, and do something.